Welcome back, everybody. A beautiful evening about to unfold here at the famous Corkscrew as part of course, the Laguna Seca Raceway, built in 1957 and rolling still in 2022. A magnificent venue for an event like this, and Velocity Invitational has, in my opinion, knocked it out the park as we get ready for some more demo laps from some of our supercars. And I've got two super people with me who have also brought their supercar from Denmark, no less. But Pushkar Gadambe and Alberto Solera. I think I've got my pronunciations close. Let's talk to you guys because you've been right by me throughout most of the weekend, but I've been particularly keeping a close eye on that blue car that's been hooting around the track at great speed for Zenvo. But as these cars go out, let's talk about, was that you driving it? Let's talk about that first and foremost, because it is special, it is different. But let's start with the company itself, Zenvo. What is that all about, and what are you trying to achieve?
Yes, as you said, Zenvo is a Danish hypercar brand. It was been going since 2008, and the cars you can see there are our latest iteration of vehicle, the TSRS, which is one of two models we produce. We produce a slightly lower downforce car, which is the TSR GT, so without the wing you've been seeing flapping around the track over the weekend. And this is a slightly higher downforce car with the rear wing. And that's really our party piece, our rear wing, Zentripetal wing, so we own the IP, that's our patent. And yeah, that's the main party piece. I think you would have seen it on the cameras.
I did, and
as we
I
were
tried
driving
to
around.
explain it, but why don't you? Because I probably absolutely ruined it. But it's clever because it basically goes with the steering mechanism. Am I right?
Well, on demo mode, when it's stationary, it's all about the steering input. That's just a show mode. So when you're driving around, there's a few factors that give it a predefined position or wing position. So there's steering input, there's individual wheel speed, traction, G-force, and also overall car speed. So a few stats. The wing on itself gives 325 kilograms of downforce at 150 miles per hour. And when the wing's in full tilt, so if you're going, say, a full right-hand turn where the wing's fully bent over, it will give you 75 kilos of sideways force, pushing the car towards the inside of the corner. So it almost acts as like an aero anti-roll bar.
And on track right now, we have some more of these super hypercars, if you will. And Pushkar, I always think when we start talking about this, and I'm delighted first and foremost that Jeffrey O'Neill has brought these cars, because I love celebrating the history of the automobile, but if you don't look to the future, then you're not really celebrating it,
Correct.
In my opinion. How, when you're looking at what you guys are doing, do you look at the competition? Because you've got to somehow stand out, you've got to be different, and it's a pretty full market when it comes to the supercar market, and once one catches the eye, you know, it's hard to sway somebody who's saying, no, well, have a look at this.
So we are not, as a company, we are not trying to achieve track numbers, fastest lap times, fastest track times. What we are trying to give customers is smiles per miles. Yeah. So in that sense, we are different to our competition. We are fast, we are up there, but we are not the fastest. But that's what our customers like. It is a usable car. It is what you can jump in it, drive for it. You can drive it on the coast. You can drive it on highways. It's a usable hypercar. That's what we're trying to achieve.
And I also think that sometimes it can be quite intimidating when you see a supercar, a hypercar, because you suddenly think, oh, it's got that big engine in the back, and you know, you've got to be a racing driver to be able to do that. Do you have modes that allow a professional to drive it hard, and a mere mortal, if you like, to drive it simply?
Yeah, I mean, we've got two power modes. So in road mode, we're looking about 850 horsepower, and we've also got our smart IQ mode. So the ECU is constantly detecting for wheel slip. If it detects wheel spin, it reduces the power. If it doesn't detect wheel spin, it gives a little bit more power. So very usable. There's also ESP, ABS, you know, so it's a fully safe road legal car as well. This isn't a track car. We've developed this car for the road. It's a very usable car, as Pushkar said. In race mode, max power, it's full 1177 horsepower on pump gas, and you know, if you can get E85, then you're looking at 1360 horsepower.
Including the ECUs, everything's developed in-house as well. So
yes.
We are not kind of taking technology from anywhere, other brands and stuff. All engine, gearbox, ECUs, all the mapping, all the technology has been developed in-house in Denmark.
That's correct.
Proof's in the pudding. A racetrack like Laguna is a chance for you to stretch its legs a little bit. How was it?
Yeah, I mean, the circuit's amazing, and yeah, well, obviously the cars, I'm very biased, but we've got 0 kilograms across the front axle, so it's very well balanced. So all these high-speed corners here, you can see the wing fully banked over. It's a pleasure to drive. Yeah, it's really been a fun weekend here at Velocity.
Obviously, McLaren playing a big role here, and once again, we've got the McLaren supercars on track. I'm sure that you've got the Zingers next to you, the Hennessy's are parked to my right. We've had the Gunter Works as well. Do you take a look as you go along at these sorts of events at what the competition and what the other cars who are doing different things, and maybe pick up some ideas or at least see how they're marketing and what they're marketing to?
Definitely, you know, it's very selfish or foolish just to keep an eye on yourselves. You know, the world technology advances so quick, and it's also a good chance to meet the other teams. It's a very small world. We all know each other, so it's good to discuss, throw some ideas out there, and also just discuss things like emissions, technology advances, because everybody's got different solutions. We all want the same aim, but it's a different solution. So we've gone with the aero wing. Lamborghini went with the flap design. So, you know, it's good to see what everybody else is offering, and likewise get their opinions, being experts in the field as well, to see what they think about our ideas.
And a motor racing event, that's it in a nutshell. That's what motor racing is. The essence of motor racing is trying to get to the same level, the same 1/10 of a second, but by doing it necessarily sometimes different ways. Pushka, have you enjoyed Velocity Invitational?
It was
first one?
Yes, first one. I came in Friday night, so I was only here yesterday and today. It's been a great experience, especially coming to a track like this. It's about the corkscrew. I have played video games all my life, driving Laguna Seca, so it's been a great experience. Great people, great passion around Velocity. You know, its organization is great as well, with all sides of things. So yeah, great fun.
Well, as you know, we are broadcasting live around the world, so let's do the business side. Let's sell a little bit. Zenvo, from Denmark, what have you got? What can the customers, if they want to find you, where can they find you? What's available? What production are you into? Give us some idea.
So with the TSR series, we are only building 10 units, out of which there are 3 units which are going to be without the wing, which is the TSR GT. That's not been announced to the public yet, but it is sold out. We have got 2 more units of the TSR with the wing available, and that's about it. We are launching a brand new car next year at the Quail, which is going to be a V12 hypercar. So that's what we are looking forward to, and that's what the company is currently focusing on, and production of the last few units of the TSRS.
Rough price?
They start at 1.68 million euros, which is the same as the dollars these days, but without taxes and stuff.
So now's a good time to buy in the US.
I was going to get Jeffrey O'Neill to buy one, but he's been driving a Mini, and I think he suddenly realized how much fun he can have in a small, tiny car. Jeffrey, just pop in here, just grab the mic. You popped up here. How's the weekend gone, first and foremost? Because you're in down mode, I can see that. You're out of your overalls. How has it been?
I am. It's been fantastic. It's been, Jonathan, it's just been wonderful. We've had such a great time. You know, great turnout, great cars, great people, great wine.
And a great race win, I may
add. Great friends, and and a podium finish. Yes.
I love that. That was
exactly.
But, hey, knocked it on the head. 3 years now. Are you happy with the result?
100%. 100%. You know, I think we have a ton of great, you know, racers, collectors, enthusiasts, you know, you name it. I think we have a little bit of everything, and, you know, when you come to Velocity, you get a little taste of, you know, every part of the car culture, from a 1910, you know, Hupmobile all the way to, you know, McLaren, Senna, and what have you. So.
Well, listen, I'll let you go and relax, because I want to thank you on behalf of Zenvo and all the other hypercars for making them part of this, because it is so important.
That's
because if you can't have a history that doesn't have the future. I mean, otherwise it isn't the history, right? I'm just saying that.
That's right, and thank you guys. You know, that's what's making it happen. So we love having you guys here. Yeah, the cars
it's been a pleasure.
The cars are stunning. So really, really cool. As a matter of fact, there's a young man standing over here that I'd love to have you chat with, who he knows every detail about your car. He knows more about your car than I do.
Bring him in. Bring him in. We'd love to have him.
Let's go.
Let's go. That was Jeffrey O'Neill, who has organized the event throughout the weekend. and I'm not going to put him on the stage for too long because he's had a long day. Who is this young man who says he knows Zenvo?
Hi, I'm Cameron.
Okay. What do you know about Zenvo?
Just an unreal car. I mean, watching it go around the track, it's a machine like no other. With that twin-turbo 8-liter V8, it's just unreal.
Yeah. Twin supercharged.
Twin supercharged.
5.8-litre V8. So there's a Roadtrek supercharger on each cylinder bank, and the reason we did that is it's very linear power delivery, so there's no sudden rush of torque. You know, again, back to what Pushkar said earlier, it's about miles per hour enjoyment and actually using the car. So, you know, this thing isn't just going to get loose on the road. It's very NA. That's the whole reason we went twin supercharger.
Why does it stand out to you more than maybe some of the other cars?
The wing on the back is the thing that stands out the most. The fact that it is able to completely readjust its angle based off its turning is just unreal.
That's next level, isn't it?
It really is.
Are you going to buy one?
I think it's in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough car to buy. And now I know the number of units that you're talking. We are really talking about a very, very elite number of people who could potentially buy one. And to see one on the street would be quite.
The good thing is about how customized they are. You know, there is not two vehicles the same. You know, when the client comes to spec his car, every single panel can be different. You know, so that we're offering what the big boys can't do. You know, you're buying into the family. You are part of the family. You know, we do remote servicing anywhere in the world. You know, we can fly to you. You know, the possibilities really are endless when it comes to Zenvo. Pushkar mentioned about the 2 new vehicles being launched next year at the Quail. These are going to be 100 units. You know, so we are really having an expansion now. You know, Zenvo's here. We're showing everyone we're here to stay. We're a real brand, real manufacturer, and it's really exciting. You know, the next few years are going to be really big for us.
And Cameron, last question to you. How's your experience been this weekend? Have you enjoyed it?
Oh, just unreal. I mean, the cars that have been here, the excitement on the track. I mean, watching that Ferrari GTO go around was just unreal. It's just something you just never see.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the price of that thing? So I heard 70 million or something dollars. Yeah, I think I overtook him actually, and I was like, "Whoa, steady!" Yeah.
We're watching another display of fantastic McLarens out on track at the moment, and in a moment we're also going to turn back to the Minis and the Mustangs to finish it all off. But thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad you're an absolute devotee to the Zenvo, and that Jeffrey was able to point that out, because I'm sure these guys are pleased to hear that.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you so much.
Pushkar, jump back in there and we'll finish it off. But yeah, I guess my next question is that open-ended question of what next? Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? What innovations do you want to pull off? You just mentioned the sort of bespoke nature of the cars. Everything's different. But where next? Where do you want to see yourselves?
I think as I said, with the new product, that's why we are promoting ourselves so much. We are at all events in the US this year. It's mainly, the main concentration is the new product, higher production, but still stay quite low. So when I say higher production, we are not talking 1,000 units a year. We're talking about 25 to 30 units a year from 5, which we are currently doing. So that's where we want to lead up to. We will have many more products at a cheaper price range, but that's still 5 years down the line.
I'd like to talk about our new engine, if that's possible. It's a partnership with Marley. Everybody knows Marley, so very big brand. So it's a 6-litre V12. It'll be twin turbo. Just on its own, we're looking at a minimum of 1,250 horsepower. Then we took them plus the hybrid. It'll be a Euro 7 approved engine, and probably in a road car the most tech advanced V12 that's ever been.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
So, your final thoughts on the 2 cars parked here and your experience here? Have you met some good people? I mean, it's a bit quieter today than it was yesterday, but I've been parked right by you, and it's been busy most of the weekend. Yeah, a lot of people have been happy to see it. As I say, the brand awareness is getting really good. America's been really good to us. We signed some dealers, we've got some car sales. So, as I say, that expansion is really happening though. We're going to be quadrupling the workforce in the next couple of years, probably in the next year, because we really are. We've got some good targets. And it's good to finally meet people. Everybody in the US has been so welcoming, and everyone's a car guy. Yeah. So, you get
they have the same enthusiasm. It's nice to speak to people that, you know,
You're not selling anymore.
Exactly. You know, it sells itself, actually. Yeah, you're right. It's really good to be here this weekend, and the range of vehicles, even on a personal level, I've had a great time.
Good. That's kind of where I was going.
Yeah.
Push to say for you.
Likewise, yeah.
I know you were on Friday night, but
Yeah.
You know, on a personal level, it's just been a great experience. We've done a lot of events this year in the States. This is probably our last one this year, and we can't wait to come back next year.
Awesome. Well, thanks for both of you coming up here. Keep those cars safe. Drive them home carefully if that's what you're doing. We'll carry on. We've got one more big race to come, but I won't put you through Minis and Mustangs. That's not your thing.
It was a great race last night. I watched it. Yeah, it's absolutely buzzing for it. Yeah.
I got some of the guys from Mini coming in to join me for it, so we'll all enjoy it together. But thanks for coming in. Best of luck
Johnny.
to Zenbo. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
We'll come and find you next time at Quail.
We'll see you soon.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, cheers, guys. So, as we watch the McLaren Ultimates on track and we talk to the Zenvo guys, that was really interesting. A fantastic brand from Denmark. You can look at them up. And I'm going to bring Sam Smith back in because I know he's going to be wanting to talk about these McLarens as he was a moment ago. But we just had the Zenvo guys in here. And Sam, we haven't had a real chance to talk about the McLarens on track right now, but again, more supercars, a different aspect, completely different from what we were talking about a moment ago. We've just been talking to the Zenvo guys that are part right here, but it's an all aspect part of the racing here.
Things about McLaren supercars as they build them now is that they're typically British, right? Which means a lot of torque, a lot of compliance. They're very easy to drive quickly, but more than anything else, and more than so many of the other supercar and hypercar manufacturers, they believe that the cars should be entertaining at 5 miles an hour, at 30 miles an hour, at 50 miles an hour, which means when you drive them on the road, they have lively steering feel. There is a small degree of body roll. The cars move and shift their weight in a way that just feels real, and it's engaging. And there are, like I said, I worked at car magazines for almost.
I was going to say, I haven't introduced our audience to what you actually do. I just said, here's the journalist Sam Smith. I mean, you're either overly famous or I should have introduced you properly. What is your background? What are you doing at the moment?
Well, first off, all journalists are interchangeable. We're all we plug and play. None of us are interesting.
That is true.
No, just for a bit of background, I spent about 8 years at Road and Track. I was executive editor there and then editor at large. Yeah, I was responsible for a lot of the magazine's track testing of race cars, road cars, that sort of thing. And before that was at a number of different magazines, Car and Driver, Automobile Magazine. I had a column in the UK's Car, actually, for about 3 or 4 years. And it was, it's a wonderful job because you're never going to get rich doing it, but you get this breadth of experience into how the industry works. And again, like the context with McLarens in particular, so many modern hypercars and supercars are fantastic, but they are fantastic at the limit, which means if you can find a place where you can drive a 700 horsepower car with tires wider than I am, at the limit of the chassis and at the limit of the drivetrain, it's wonderful and it's forgiving and it's delightful, but road cars don't see that often, and McLarens just have this delicacy about them, and this kind of human feel to the chassis and to the steering and to the way they talk to you. It's a neat thing, and you can tell that they come from someplace. They feel like they are of a people, which in the modern car era is actually pretty rare.
I mentioned this earlier about how Ron Dennis took a leap of faith in many ways and turned the Woking company into a supercar producer as well as a Formula One specialist. And I think that was part of his legacy in many ways, that he pulled it off, because it is special. They have made it. They do race at the highest levels. They have won Le Mans, and they are producing a British supercar, which I thought as a little boy would kind of never happen.
And they are, right? And what's great about it is that, in a lot of ways, they use many of the same components across the line. Their tub and their cell, the monocell they call it, the drivetrain that they use, so much of it is tweaked and tuned in different ways for different purposes in the cars. And what that means is that you can get into one particular model that has been dialed for track use, and it can be aggressive, and it can require a lot of attention at the limit and a lot of cojones, as it were, right?
Yeah.
To get the most out of the car, and then you have their more road-oriented things that are built from a lot of the same components, but have just a simply different stack of choices made, and those choices make the cars feel massively different. And it's what you're getting when you end up with a legacy manufacturer that has a history of knowing how to do this, this, you get choices that were made intelligently. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with many of the small hypercar manufacturers that are popping up, but there is something to having done one thing for so long and being intimately familiar with how you want cars to feel and how things have felt in the past. It matters.
Yeah, and only McLaren could manage to put their logo as part of the design. that shows some attention to detail, like no other. Unbelievable. Yeah, I've been saying all weekend that I think Bruce McLaren will be fairly happy that he set this up all those years ago.
It's such a neat company, and it's such a neat company when you think about where it came from, right?
Yeah,
the fact that one man basically spawned all of it, and then when he passed, there are tales of everybody going back to the factory and showing up the next day after, because he perished in a crash, and everyone showed up the next right. It was a Goodwood, correct?
Yes.
So everyone shows up the next day, and I've met a couple of the gentlemen who were there, and they talk about walking in, and there was this kind of feel of, well, what do we do? And the answer was, well,
you carry on.
You carry on, and you show back up, and you do it. And the person who was managing director at the time walked in and basically told all of them, all right, lads, you can go home. We should really take a break. He's gone. We need some time to process this. And they all kind of looked around and went, well, no, that's not what we do here. And they stayed, and they just kept going. And it's such a neat story because it is so innately English and just such a again, you get in some of the modern cars. A P1 has a connection to an F1 GTR or an F1, and there are elements of feel. I've driven them both. There are elements of feel that they have in common. It's remarkable, and that it sounds like smoke, but it's not.